New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science with Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Welcome. It's great that you can join us today. I am Reverend Joy Fletcher, and we are here on Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network. And this is our 28th broadcast. We're so happy that you're here, and Divine Science Everywhere features divine science ministers and New Thought guests as we discuss principles and practice of divine science. Some of the ways that I express ministry is I'm a member of both the Divine Science Federation International, Divine Science Ministers Association, and Anton and INTA, and I'm also a ritualist and a death doula, and I work with hospice as a bereavement coordinator.
And I'm Reverend Jeff Radcliff. Nice to have you here with us. I'm a doggy daddy. Lily Rose is right down here, but I am like Reverend Joy. I'm a member of everything. INTA, Anton, as well as Divine Science Federation International and the Divine Science Ministers Association. Look for me on Facebook, Giatti Ministries. You know, it's divine science, but God is all there is, because that's what Giatti stands for, Giati. And we are excited. And later on, we're going to be speaking to our guest, Reverend Linda Finley. She is here as my early birthday gift. Birthday's tomorrow. So she said, yes, I'll do it just for you for your birthday. So looking forward to chatting with her. And I'm going to turn this to Bishop Durrell, because I'm getting parched. I need a drink.
You need a drink. You're drying up right there.
I know, it's water. This is best water.
I love bubbly water.
Italian sparkling water.
I love fizzy water. My husband, Bishop Robert Griffin, his birthday was on the 20th, just a few days ago.
Oh, that's when Lily's birthday was. The 20th.
Right. So all these Libras, and mine's November the 15th. So Robert and I are the same age for 26 days, and then I became older again. I'm Durrell Watkins. I am a parish minister, the senior minister of the Sunshine Cathedral, sunshinecathedral.org. And I am the current president of the Divine Science Federation International. And I am a bishop with the Global Justice Institute. Now, I like to talk about divine science, but I don't like to talk about divine science just to divine scientists. That's why I love this show, is because we share the principles that we all share. Melinda Kramer was a Quaker, and Nona Brooks was a Presbyterian, and Emma Curtis Hopkins was a Christian Scientist, and truth, right? And so Ernest and Fenwick Holmes were divine scientists. Ernest first, Fenwick always, and the Fillmores and Alethea, what's her face, Brooks, and her husband, tight friends, business partners before they went into religion. And so it's just all so connected. They taught classes for each other's seminaries. They spoke in each other's centers. They wrote for each other's magazines. And so what I love about Divine Science Everywhere is that, the hosts are divine scientists and some of the guests, but divine science is the name of truth that we use, but the truth by any name is the truth. And so I love that about us. And I love how we do that. Now, how we, after introductions every week, as we begin, especially on a Friday, it's so good to relax, to take a moment to center and pause and focus and just spend a moment of complete mindfulness. And that's always led by Reverend Joy. So get ready for a healing moment.
So let us take a few moments and take a slow breath and feel the breath of infinite life moving through you. Let your shoulders drop, your mind quiet, and your heart open. We know that all of life moves in one divine rhythm, the harmony of love expressing as each of us, through us, as us, and beyond us. So we know that our divine inheritance is the indwelling wisdom, love, knowledge, understanding, power, life, and joy that form the essence of our being. And these qualities are not things that we must earn or acquire. They are what we are. So let's listen to the words of Nona Lovell Brooks from Mysteries, first published in 1924, in the chapter, The Mystery of Human Characteristics. I quote, "The race has been acquiring undesirable characteristics through the centuries instead of turning to those divine inherencies, wisdom, love, knowledge, understanding, power, life, and joy. All of these are inherent in God's life, and divine love is sharing these with you and me. In considering every subject, we should turn our attention toward our foundation. We cannot then go very far astray. For example, the question is often asked, why do these undesirable human characteristics persist after we have learned that, in the light of truth, we are divinely endowed? This is a practical question, and a satisfactory answer to it will be most helpful to those who are seeking to serve more efficiently by living truer lives. We are children of God, heirs of God, and we truly inherit a nature that is divine. Let us see then why we have this fault and that fault, this virtue and that virtue. We are wondering the same thing about our neighbors as we do about ourselves, are we not? The assertion that human traits are transmitted from father to son, which is so generally accepted, shows that we really believe in a human source. And this concept is deeply rooted in the thought of the race, and like all racial concepts, is not easily dissolved. It seems as if we knew, or if we view these human characteristics from the point of view of the universal presence and power of good, the mystery of them shall fall away. God is living and manifesting in us. What does it mean to be alive? It means that infinite love is expressing at form, and that you and I, as God expressions, are destined to realize this God life. And that life, which is powerful, true, pure, and joyous. Nothing is thrust upon you and me. However, as children of an almighty love, we are free to choose what kind of thoughts we think. End of quote. So let us breathe this truth into our consciousness. In fact, this truth is already present in our consciousness. Divine life is living through us now. Every breath we take is the divine breathing itself into expression. Every heartbeat is infinite love, pulsing through creation, and every thought we lift toward truth becomes a radiant act of creation. So let us silently affirm to ourselves, I live, move, and have my being in divine wholeness. Wisdom and love express through me now. Infinite love, infinite life flows through all I am and all that I do. Now allow this awareness to travel more deeply inward. Imagine following a stream of light back to its source. This light is within you and within all. Beneath all surface thoughts and emotions, there is a deep, radiant peace. This is true about ourselves and one another. No separation exists. You are part of the whole, as everyone else is part of the whole. Never apart, never incomplete. We are wisdom unfolding. We are love expressing. We are understanding made visible. We are life eternal. So as we return gently to an outer awareness, aware of this, aware of our true state of being, let us remember, I live, move, and have my being in divine wholeness. Wisdom and love express through me now. Infinite life flows through all that I am and that all that I do. May this truth go before us, within us, and as us, harmonizing every thought, healing every perception, and awakening in us the realization that truth, wholeness, unity, life, love, joy, peace is expressing through us right now, as us, through us, for us, and each other. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Joy. Those few minutes every week to just pause. And maybe you go to a center on Sunday. Maybe you are connected to several, 3 or 4 centers online. Maybe you have your own practice every day. That's all great. And but if you missed any of that, every Friday, we have our moment there of sharing, of just experiencing the moment, being mindful, and being in the divine presence. Now, I want to share with you 4, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4, today's 4, new thought luminaries. You got to know about them. They paved the way for us, and we are still learning from them. The first one is Ursula Gestefeld. She was born in 1845. She made her transition in 1921. I think she's come up at least once before. She was a student of Mary Baker Eddy. She and Eddy had a falling out. That happened a lot with Mrs. Eddy. But Gestefeld became an independent teacher of spiritual healing, obviously still using what she learned from Mrs. Eddy. She wrote a treatment for releasing the past, and I think it's so powerful. And it includes these words. It's longer than this, but these are the words that I want you to hear from Ursula Gestefeld in this treatment for releasing the past. I have no sorrow, no regrets. I am filled with praise and rejoicing. Nothing that anyone can say of me can hurt me or turn me aside. I press forward steadily with no thought of blame for them who judge me according to the dead past. All malice, hatred, and enmity are left with the past. I bow only to love. I feel only love for every human being. I begin to know God, for God is love. End quote. The next person I want to share with you is Christian D. Larson. He's almost mainstream. He was born in 1866. He made his transition in 1955. He studied at Meadville Theological School, which was a Unitarian seminary. It later merged with Lombard Seminary, and they are today known as Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago. They're still a Unitarian Universalist seminary, but in his day, it was a Unitarian seminary, Meadville Theological School. And he was influenced by mental science teachings, another New Thought metaphysical movement. Larson was one of the spiritual teachers who influenced Ernest Holmes, and later Larson worked with Holmes as the associate editor and frequent contributor for Science of Mind magazine. In 1912, Larson developed the Optimist Creed. We've used it in our liturgy at Sunshine Cathedral a few times. He developed the Optimist Creed, which in 1922 was adopted by Optimist International, also known as the Optimist Club. Larson taught, quote, "We have marvelous powers, even miracle powers, in the depth of mind and soul, and they are there to be used. We can use them, however, only as we deepen our thought, raise our consciousness, and go farther into the spirit." End quote. Someone I want you to know about that, honestly, a lot of people, this may be some brand new information. Henry Thomas Hamblin, Hamblin, Henry Thomas Hamblin, born in 1873, made his transition in 1958. He was an English New Thought author. The essence of Hamblin's philosophy was of the omnipresence, omnipotence, and all goodness of God. In his 1921 book, Dynamic Thought, he wrote, quote, "I want you to realize that within you are infinite power and possibilities, that the inward power can be aroused and brought into expression by holding high ideals in the mind and by affirmations and meditation, that it is necessary to spend a short time in the unseen, both night and morning, that by doing so you can enter a superconscious realm where your word is creative. Therefore, picture a higher life, the highest you can conceive, and affirm that it is yours." End quote. I always end with a divine scientist, although Henry Thomas Hamblin sounds all the world like a divine scientist. But we always end with a divine scientist, and today's is Albert Grier. What? But he started the Church of Truth. Hear me out. He was a Universalist minister for 20 years before he became the founder of the Church of Truth in 1912. He was born in 1964, made his transition in 1941. He had a degree, I believe, from the University of Michigan in science, and then trained, I suppose, by some I've never heard of him going to a seminary, so I suppose he trained by some apprenticeship alternative method. He trained to become a Universalist minister, and he did. And then he founded the Church of Truth, a New Thought way of thinking. But he was also the pastor of a divine science congregation, the one in New York, the famous one, that had John W. Murray and Emmett Fox, and Nona even took a turn at it. And he was there for a bit. So, and he's actually included in the original History of Divine Science. It was in the early days, that green book. He's included in it with no mention of the Church of Truth. He was so hand in glove with divine science philosophy and working with divine scientists, even taking a divine science church, that he's just included in divine science history. He wrote in Truth and Life, quote, "To the inward eye of faith, no condition is hopeless." End quote. Greyer viewed Jesus as a teacher who demonstrated that the Christ consciousness was within each of us, and by following Jesus' teachings, we could become aware of that indwelling Christ consciousness and demonstrate it as he did. So those are our New Thought luminaries for today for consideration. And before we get to our guests and to what's next, let's take a little break. This is Divine Science Everywhere with the New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
To Divine Science Everywhere. We are celebrating my birthday by having one of my favorite people in the whole entire world. When I first took the jump into New Thought, Reverend Linda Finley was there from the very beginning, and she has been a wonderful friend and mentor to me. She's native Californian. She's got some strong roots in Nebraska. She's moved to Oregon 19 years ago to lead the Center for Spiritual Living in Eugene. She's got a very varied background. She's worked as an employment counselor, inventory control specialist, marketing and promotions, even did the software data. And before entering the ministry, she also owned and operated a beer and wine tavern and managed a full kitchen and pool tables. Did that for 12 years. And she still maintains a kitchen at the church because she feeds her people. She feeds her people spiritually, and she makes wonderful soups. Got to talk about that in a little while. Her focus virtually all her life has been building community and bringing people together to celebrate and create new situations. She's been doing it as a minister for 26 years this past September, and she credits the New Thought teachings with changing her trajectory completely. And it's really the new purpose of our church. So welcome, Reverend Linda Finley, my friend.
Thank you.
We have known each other for over 20 years.
Yeah, I was just sharing with Joy. We met in that Yahoo chat group on spirituality before in I believe 1998, 1999, just before I moved north to start my first work.
Yeah. A lady by the name of Barb. And I started it. She was taking an online class with me, and I was in West Virginia. There was no New Thought there. She was in Australia, and at the time didn't know that there was New Thought in Australia. And so we started this group, and you were there, like I said, from the very beginning. And so I'm just honored to have you here. Now, what was it about New Thought that drew you to it? Because you've done a lot of different things.
Well, I had, and I was raised in what I call religion light, Methodist Presbyterian. You know, I had a lot of friends who were Baptist and Nazarene who had a whole list of thou shalt nots. And in Presbyterianism and Methodism, it's just thou shalt show up for church on Sunday was pretty much what the rules were. But as I grew, I remember I was about 14 or 15, and I really wanted to read the Gospels. And I was looking at John, and I read, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and without the Word, nothing that is could have come into being. And I said, I have no idea what this means, but I know it's the key to everything. And And I went to my minister, and he said, well, we understand the word to mean the Christ consciousness, Jesus. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what it means. In all my 15-year-old wisdom, I knew that wasn't it. And I went to other people, and they discussed logos. And over the years, I had a Unitarian college professor, and I talked to him, and he, and after I discovered the teaching, I do divination. I opened the Science of Mind textbook because something had stressed me, and I put my finger down, and it said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and we understand this to be the creative process in the individual. And I went, wow, why did it take 30 years for me to find this? And then I realized I wasn't ready. I had to live the life I lived. I had to make the mistakes I made. I had to do the growth that was mine to do in order to finally get it. And I don't know if that's a good answer for your question, or how I knew it was me. It was I had gone through a development of what I believed, that I call myself a good, because I believe everything is sacred. Mm-hmm. That all of life, in the water, the sky, the plants, the bugs, all of it is holy. Everything is holy. And I never knew anybody else besides me that felt that way. And somebody invited me to join them on Sunday, and I walked into my first Science of Mind church, cousins of Divine Science, very close cousins, and I went, oh my God. Well, actually, I went, holy shit, but you may need to.
Oh God.
I said, there's people that believe the way I do. There's other people who think like I do. I may be crazy. I can't say I'm not crazy. I may be crazy, but I'm not the only one. And it just resonated with everything that I understood the master teacher Jesus to say, everything that I understood life to be about, everything that Native peoples have explained, that the Great Spirit is in everything, whether it's the Native American peoples or the Celtic peoples or the Native Asian peoples or whatever. They all have an understanding that we are immersed in the holy. And this teaching reflected that back to me. And I said, okay, I think I found my home. And I had smoked for 25 years. And I quit when I was 43. And when you leave a habit that has been your coping mechanism, all the stuff that's ready to be worked with comes up. And I realized that I was starving spiritually. And so that was when I went on a search. And it just so happened that the year I quit smoking was the year Oprah had Deepak Chopra introducing Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. And it was, and I picked that up and I started reading, and it led, as inevitably as divine scientists, you all know one thing inevitably leads to another. Each step is part of a chain that is taking you where you need to go. Mm-hmm. And I just went, wow, I'm where I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So.
And you've been doing it for a long time. And one of the things that I love about you is that a lot of ministers do above and beyond, for their congregations. You literally feed your folks. And how did you, that is like right in line with what you used to do back when you owned the
on the bar, on the Lucky Penny. I and I had big feeds at all the major holidays. I had a 4th of July, Memorial Day rib feed, and a 4th of July, God knows it might be anything American looking, whether it's hamburgers or barbecued chicken or whatever. And then Labor Day was always tri-tip, and which is a California interpretation of a piece of the beef. But anyway, I just like to feed people. And cooking is my love language. And after several years in the ministry up here, I about 2.5 years ago, I went, I want to do something called Soup for the Soul. And so every Thursday I make a soup and we have a discussion about a spiritual topic for it. And it's exactly 1 hour. It starts at noon. It ends at 1. We open with a prayer. The soup and the bread are there. Sometimes I make the bread. Sometimes I pick it up at the local store. And we have a handout about the spiritual practice. And it's feeding of body, mind, and soul. And it's a safe place where people can explore how this teaching works in their life. Like this last week, we discussed sacred service. At the end of the meeting, I have a big bowl full of topics, and the first person who came reaches into the bowl and pulls out next week's topic, which gives me a chance to create a little half sheet for them to hand out when they come in. And this coming week, we're doing mindfulness. Mm-hmm. And I do a brief discussion of what is this thing? Is it a principle or is it a practice that we do? And then how do you use it in your life? And people have just dived so deep. They have created ways of talking to one another. Friendships are building. To me, it's anywhere. Usually we had a really short, this was a small week. This week we had only 9 people there. Usually we have 12 to 15 people there. We have tables in a circle so that we can all be facing one another, and we create safe space at the beginning, and we eat the soup and we talk about the thing, and I will include people, anybody want to read the next sentence or whatever, to get people engaged. And I really love it as a way to give myself to the people. When I'm chopping the onions and the celery and the carrots, I am loving the people that I know are going to be there. I am imbuing I'm doing the Brother Lawrence thing. All of this is sacred, and I'm putting all of myself into the pot of soup. Not literally. I have all my fingers and toes.
It's practicing the presence, but yeah.
But it gives me an opportunity to be in sacred space when I am helping and creating. And don't ever ask a minister what they think. They just will go on and on and on.
Hey, you got some time. Fill it however you want to. I do want to say, though, because I'm this nerd, but the thing that has become so stylized and ritualized that is known as the Eucharist was originally a real life meal. It was called an agape feast, a love feast. There was real meal. That's why the Apostle Paul complained. Some of you come in here to just fill up and get drunk and get silly. Take care of that at home. We're here really to visit and just have a nosh while we're visiting or whatever. That feeding people, though, literally real food at a table while you're sharing, praying, teaching, whatever. That's what the Eucharist is. That's what it started as. Mm-hmm. And so with or without, the chalice and the candles, you don't have to know all that. You're actually doing the original Eucharist.
That's what felt to me. Thank you for bringing that up, Durrell, because the breaking of bread. And that's why I try oftentimes, at least once a month, to make the bread myself for them as well. I will do an Irish soda bread, or I will actually do the kneading of the bread, the big pots of bread. But it's essential to come together over the basic elements of life, to me, to meet one another on an even plane. And what safer thing than a bowl of hot soup and a piece of bread with some Irish butter? I mean, that's to give you the.
She's even breaking out the good butter, y'all. She's not even skimping on the butter.
I don't know. I am.
No margarine.
No margarine.
No, that Irish butter is super creamy. Oh my gosh. They usually don't even use salt because it's so sweet and perfect.
Yes, the Kerrygold butter is the only way to fly. Sorry, I'm doing a commercial break here, but that is, to me, it's elemental.
Yeah.
And I think that's what my life has been about, why this teaching resonated. Back to Jeff's original question, this teaching resonated with me is because I think this is what Jesus was teaching. I think, is don't worship me, follow me, do what I'm doing, be who I'm being, love one another, care about one another. And this is where I think, I spent the last 2 years planning to retire because I'm of the age where one is expected to retire. And of course, basically all my ministerial friends have flunked retirement tremendously. They've tried, they've quit, and essentially they wind up coming back in one way, shape, or form. And I was doing all this work to figure out what would post-pulpit ministry look like. And I couldn't ever come up with anything. And I went to a conference in Banff this summer, right after my birthday. And I realized I don't want to retire. I'm not ready to retire. I was only retiring because I thought I was shooting on myself. I thought I should retire. And it's like I have had a complete renewal of call. The call that I felt at a Selamar in May of 1994 has just totally and completely been renewed 31 years later. I went to my first conference at Selamar 6 months after I started attending a center. And I went, oh my God, I'm supposed to be a minister. Everything that I have done up to this point was a piece of that puzzle coming together. And I choose to bring the best of myself to people because the world we're living in right now, I don't want to stir up any, but I was an English major and a history minor, and political comes from the root word polis, which means the people. So everything is political. Everything that is going on has to do with people. Religion is political because it has to do with the people. But the bottom line is I'm feeling, I'm here for a purpose. I lived through the 60s. I lived through the Vietnam War. I lived through the assassination of President Kennedy. I lived through the assassination of Senator Kennedy and Martin Luther King. I was a young person taking shape during those years. And I look and see what's going on now. And I need to be here as a voice of hope, as a voice of renewal, as a voice of what we can be, rather than a voice of what's trying to happen around us. And that I can't, in any kind of good conscience, retire at this point. My voice is essential. I can write, I can speak, I can do things that empowerment is my go-to thing. Everybody has within them such incredible power and they don't realize it. Took me forever. Quitting smoking. If I can quit smoking, I can do anything.
Right.
We have a lot of 12-step meetings, at our center, and they've all conquered alcohol, but most of them haven't conquered cigarettes. Because it's a systemic habit. And what I realized was if I can quit smoking, I can do anything.
Have you noticed also, though, that people who quit drinking or smoking or gambling or whatever the thing is, without a process, without group support, without spiritual principles, they just substitute something else, often religion. Sometimes the meanest, craziest religion is for people who are just using it the way they used to use something else. Goodbye.
It is basically, psychology shows we are all addictive personalities. Some of us just have acceptable addictions.
Right.
There are the people who are immaculate housekeepers. I am not one of them. but I can't imagine going through this time without some form of spiritual practice, without some form of seeing what's possible, that there is a bigger story happening around me and that I have access to greater stuff. And that's why, as I mentioned to Jeff, the world is so hungry for what what we are teaching through divine science, through unity, through Unitarians, all new thought is the religion that we're seeking. It's the religion that says we're all connected. We're all a tapestry. We're all woven together. We're all part of something that is way more magnificent than anything we can imagine. And our little piece of it may feel like an infinitesimal nothing, but it's what's holding it all together.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and that's why I encourage people not to sell themselves short, not to talk down to, I asked the other day during Sunday, I said, would you hang out with somebody who talked to you the way you do? And I had a couple of people, Durrell, who had that exact reaction afterwards. Said that was big. When you said that, I went, "Oh no!"
I had a personal trainer tell me one time, because I was just really like beating myself up. I'm not getting enough progress. I'm not losing enough weight, and blah blah blah. And he just said, "I've never heard you body shame anyone else. Why do you do it to you?"
Good job, trainer. He truly was a personal trainer.
Yes.
And when it comes to our self-talk, we can be downright vicious to ourselves. And I could not imagine ever saying any of the things that I have been guilty of in the past of saying to myself. I could not imagine saying that to another person.
You think it was cruel, but you say it to yourself.
But I'll say it to me. And I had a wonderful teacher years and years and years ago, Dr. James Golden, who's no longer a minister now. But he said, when you catch yourself doing those things, don't beat yourself up.
Yes.
Because that's what we have a tendency to do is, dang, you're doing it.
I'm mean to myself, and then I'm mean to myself about it.
Yeah. And I loved what he said. He said, make it like something that I caught another one. Oh, I caught that one.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And it literally rewires the brain, because we know in the beginning was the word, and the word is what shapes everything. So when we catch our words and we use words with the idea that, I caught another one, I didn't let that one get out into the world. That gives us a feeling of power, that gives us a feeling of clarity, and that gives us an atta-girl or an atta-boy that we need to keep going on.
That's enough to make a divine scientist shout.
Hallelujah, amen.
Joy, you better get in this. We're running out of time. Ask something.
I'm enjoying that. But, I think you said add a girl, add a boy.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, add a God. That's what went through my mind, add a divine, that sort of a thing. Nice. I also was thinking that when you mentioned about how asking yourself, would I talk to another person the way I talk to myself? In some ways we do, because it's a reflection of what we think about ourselves is what we put out there. Yep. So be aware of that, and then circle back and take a breath and start over. And this is a new, fresh moment.
I've never been rude when I was happy. Never.
That's a good point. That is a very, very good point. Yes.
But how do I embody that happiness?
Yeah.
It's the I know a heck of a lot of stuff in my frontal lobe. I got the data here that just won't quit. But embodying it.
Yes.
Putting feet on it. Acting it out. Doing it. Being it. That is the real challenge. And I have been working for the last couple of years on picking a word for the year. And this year the word was love, because I was looking at all the things that were shaping up last year and thinking, with all the anger and the frustration and all the fear and all everything that was going on, the only way to counter that is with love. And then as I'm moving through the year, I am finding ways to love even things I don't like. And I realized that I have spent my entire life trying to fit in. I have spent my entire life trying to belong. Spent my entire life trying to be part of, don't make waves kind of a thing. And I realized that what I need right now is to be bold, to be who I came here to be. I turned 76 in August. I am, I'm on the short end of the stick now where it comes to life. I don't have 50% more. Okay. So I am, if I'm ever going to be me, it's now. Mm-hmm. If I'm ever going to be me, and so I need to be bold. Well, as I have been affirming that for myself and doing that, I'm discovering, when you be bold, you get blowback. Mm-hmm. And I have to be, if I am willing to be myself, I have to be willing to not fit in sometimes.
Oh, I'm about to shout again, y'all. That's good business.
I agree.
To stretch and grow, and sometimes that's scary. That's really, really freaking scary. And
Jeff,
it's funny that the conversation has taken this turn, because that has been, I've had 3 what I would consider major life issues throughout the course of my life, and authenticity, being myself, has been one of my biggest struggles. And I've within the last year or so finally felt like I was getting a handle on it, that it was okay to be me. It's okay to I watch language generally when I'm with these two, because they make me want to mind my P's and Q's. But whenever I do my show in the evening on Friday evenings with Michael Mangus, I'll drop a little word once in a while. And I finally felt like, you know what? It's okay to do that, to be that kind of minister, because if I'm going to minister, I can't do it fake. Got to do it real.
Yeah.
So that's so authenticity.
I feel like Jesus swore he had to have done, or I'm not interested.
I'm thinking, he was throwing those tables over in.
Right.
I don't think he said, "Gosh, guys, I'm really upset."
Right, darn. No.
And I also remember that one of my teachers said, if you think that Jesus never got mad, I would take a look at that.
Right.
Be real. Be real. That's upsetting the temple and the tables and all of that. And that's just part of being human. And then work through it. But acknowledge that
I've often asked people, did 13-year-old Jesus masturbate?
Mm-hmm.
For that matter, did 30-year-old Jesus masturbate? I mean, if you can't, it's only some weird stuff that would keep you from. You don't have to know the answer. Nobody knows the answer. But but it's some sort of internalized oppression that keeps you from considering the question.
But he was human too.
He was a person. Yes.
This is the whole point. A spiritual being having a human experience.
Yes.
Human experience is stumbling and falling and stubbing your toe and cussing and masturbating or whatever else it might be.
And loving yourself some hot soup and bread. Yes.
So I think we solved all the problems of the world now. I think we're about.
That's great. That's great.
But we do have a couple of minutes. I'm going to ask you one question.
Sure.
Because you're still a parish minister. First of all, I love that you haven't fallen for the gaslighting of the calendar turned to page. I've got to quit doing what I love to do. So I love that. Or the ageist assumption that like I feel good and I think well and I can still do stuff, but the age says so I got to quit. So I love that you didn't fall for any of that. But also, you're a parish minister, and parish ministry is really, I know we shouldn't say difficult or hard or challenging because of all the words we're not supposed to use or whatever. And
it is.
We have work to do, and the world doesn't make it easy all the time. So for people who are either struggling or frustrated or maybe even just beginning, encourage parish ministers out there in the world of New Thought somehow. Give us some kind of advice.
Oh. Of course, see, when I first completed my training, they said if you can deal cards in Vegas, do that.
Right.
But it has to be a calling. It's not something you
just do.
should do. It has to be what your soul yearns for. And I didn't even know that was what my soul yearned for. But what I can say is if you've done this and you know you believe this, stick with it. And stick with principle, and do not lose your sense of spiritual authority. It is so easy to try to please everybody. When I owned the bar, and I would try to please this person and that person and my employees and everybody else, and nobody was happy.
Right.
And when I would make rules and say, okay, that's it, this is what we're going to do, then everything worked out. So don't be afraid. Herd the cats a little bit and do what you can do, because this work is so crucial. The world needs what we want. People need to know that they have a voice in their lives and in the way that they do things. And just love. That's
Yeah, whatever the question, that's always the answer, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever the question, the answer is love.
Yeah. Well,
and I have one more that I read the other day, and I shared it, and people went, "Holy go, my God!"
What is it?
It isn't what would Jesus do; it's what would Jesus want me to do.
Oh, there you have it. Absolutely. And if Buddha and Socrates would agree, then for sure do it.
Yeah. Not just Jesus, whoever.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
Divine.
We got so much to chew on, so much to meditate on. It's been so great. And we're going to get back. When we come back, Joy's going to have some final words for us and tell us what's coming up. We got to take this one more break because we are Divine Science Everywhere at the New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome back.
Reverend Linda, someone after today is going to want to watch one of your Sunday talks. How can they do it?
Our Facebook page has Center for Spiritual Living Eugene, and we have a live service there. And our YouTube page is Center for Spiritual Living Eugene. So either one of those, they can catch. And we're working right now. It's the whole service. We're working on somebody to edit it out, so we just have the talk, just the talk like you guys do, the network does. So yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. And as a special birthday tribute to our colleague, Reverend Jeff Radcliff. And also next week, our guest is Reverend Paul Hoyt. And he's from New Jersey, and he's a member of the Anton Board. And the following week is a divine science minister, Reverend Sean O'Shea. So we look forward to all of you joining us again, and please like and share and keep coming back. Remember that this is Divine Science Everywhere, and Divine Science is in all, through all, and as all. The omnipresence. Omnipresence is in all, as all, through all. This is the New Thought Media Network. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, y'all. Thank you, Linda.
Thank
Blessings.
you.